One down, everybody, it's your boy, That Guy Mile High, tuning back in for another reaction. And this time we got the top 10 signs of alien life leaked by the government. I told you they real. I told you. So let's go ahead and see how I knew. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not exactly sure how I knew. But I told you. I told you that they... Hold up, there's a little hair on the camera. There we go. But yeah, I told you so. Anyway, record the screen. Hit the full screen. My bad for yelling at you. But I told you. You know what I'm saying? I've been telling y'all these aliens is real. Let's go.
Off this countdown, we have the alien abduction. Back in 1956,
man, what would you do if you got abducted by aliens? I think that's one of my worst fears in life, bro, is being abducted by aliens and then anally probed. I ain't even gonna lie. That's like a nightmare of like my existence, bro. Like I don't know if I could go on living with myself comfortably if I was abducted by aliens and then you know, and then anally probed and shit. Like, it just sounds terrible. It sounds like a bad time. You know what I'm saying? Just a really bad time.
Cunningham went out searching for debris from a recent missile launch in New Mexico. That's when Cunningham heard Lovett let out a huge scream. When he rushed over to help him, he claims he saw Lovett being pulled up by a UFO hovering above him. Lovett was then pulled inside the craft and it took off. Cunningham radioed for help, and when they arrived, they found him in complete shock and he was taken to the hospital. They then started to investigate the incident. According to the military, there was an unidentified object in that area detected on their radar. So Cunningham was telling the truth. Here's where it gets even more messed up, though. 3 days later, Lovett's body was found 10 miles away. It was severely mutilated and drained completely of blood. So could it be that he literally was taken away by aliens and then killed by them? What makes us even more suspicious?
Hell no. Now, like, you ain't got to worry about just being anally probed. Now you got to be worried about draining your whole, all your bodily fluids and shit and thrown 10 miles away from where they took you. Like, fuck. Goddamn. Like, come on, man. Come on, man.
Report on this just vanished into thin air. In our next round, we have the Gorman dogfight UFO. This is said to be one of the most well-known UFO encounters from the 20th century. It's also a fairly credible one. So on October 1st, 1948, U.S. Air Force pilot George Gorman was out flying when he spotted a UFO below him. He described it as a flying disc with round and well-defined edges that was brightly lit and circling slowly over the city. What was weird was that the object was not showing up on radar. So Gorman decided to follow it, but as he got closer to the object, it got brighter and then it shot away from him. He said it went around 250 miles per hour, then increased to 600 miles an hour. Due to its speed, Gorman lost sight of it. Now,
of course, yeah, because I don't think any of our
it's just a weather balloon.
Jets can,
I think
like,
an experienced
accelerate that
would
fast.
know the difference between
I think there's ones that do go that fast, but I don't think their acceleration is at that.
Pentagon. Last year, the Pentagon released footage of what they confirmed to be a UFO. I'm pretty sure by now you have all seen this video, but if you haven't, I'll share it with you today. So the UFO was captured on camera by two naval aviators who were shocked at what they saw.
Oh yeah, yeah, we've all seen this video.
My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west.
So in the videos, you can see what appears to be a UFO flying in the sky. In the video, you can hear just how shocked the pilots are at what they're seeing.
Oh, they did.
That's crazy. It's just doing its thing.
In fact, one of the pilots that witnessed this told CNN that the disc moved in ways he couldn't explain. Apparently, 1 second it was there, and then next thing you know, it disappeared. He said, and I quote, "As I got close to it, it rapidly accelerated to the south and then disappeared in less than 2 seconds. This was extremely abrupt, like a ping pong ball bouncing off a wall. It would hit and go the other way." Moving on.
Told you guys, the aliens is real, bro. They been here. They been here.
In 1952, half a dozen Royal Air Force officers were taking part of NATO exercises when they encountered a UFO. So the men were headed back in their fighter jet when crew members on the ground saw a weird, silvery, circular object traveling several
Man, if I see a UFO, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? I'm not curious. I think they here, I believe, but I ain't about to sit here and stick around and see what they about to do, what they trying to do.
Of the object were not
if I see a UFO, I gotta go.
Seen in the air. The crowd craft then started to descend close to the fighter jet. They said it was, and I quote, swinging in a pendular motion, similar to a falling sycamore leaf. At first, they thought it was a parachute or something that had fallen off of the jet. That was until it stopped midair, began to spin, and then just zoomed away.
Dang,
this
commercial.
Was then leaked to the press and was the front cover of the newspapers for quite some time. In fact, this sighting was so insane that Prime Minister Winston Churchill wanted to know more about it and get an investigation going. In our sixth spot, we have the destroyed evidence. On the morning of July 24th, 1948, 2 pilots were flying from Houston to Atlanta with their 20 passengers. That's when all of a sudden they saw a UFO flying clear as day.
All of a sudden they saw a UFO.
By the 2 pilots and one of the passengers.
Not normal.
The others were asleep when this happened. One of the pilots said, and I quote, "It was clear there were no wings present, that it was powered by some jet or other type of power, shooting flame from the rear some 50 feet. There were 2 rows of windows which indicated an upper and lower deck, and from inside these windows a very bright light was glowing. Underneath the ship there was a blue glow."
I would be terrified. I'd be like, nope, turn this shit around.
10 seconds.
Turn it around. We're going back.
Obviously, they reported their findings, and
quit.
this triggered a top-secret investigation by the U.S. government. In the end, their findings were destroyed, which means this could be a real UFO sighting, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't have destroyed the evidence.
Right, you know what I'm saying? I
How
feel you, lady.
With the White House UFO. Back in the 1940s and 50s, there were a number of UFO sightings in the skies over Washington, D.C.
Oh yeah,
It all
just like that
started back in
Independence Day shit.
1947 when a search and rescue pilot reported 9 saucer-like discs flying
On some like
together at over
Independence Day
1,000
shit.
miles per hour. Within weeks, the same flying saucer sighting was reported in 40 other states.
Damn.
The strangest incident happened to an air traffic controller in 1952. On July 19th, Edward Nugent, working as an air traffic controller at Washington National Airport, spotted 7 slow-moving objects on his radar. They were located far from any of their flight paths. Now, he made a joke being like, "Oh, look, they're flying saucers," until he realized that that's probably what they actually were. At that same time, 2 more air traffic controllers saw a strange hovering bright light in the distance.
Trying to make a joke and then you look like the jackass.
The area, but as soon as they got to the area where the objects
I've been
were
in
on
those
the
moments
radar,
before.
they disappeared. Over the next couple of weeks,
It happens to
more
the best
and more
of us.
UFOs were spotted. It got to the point where people were demanding answers. In our 4th spot, we have Britain's Roswell. This is said to be the UK's most famous UFO incident. So in December of 1980,
Man, with all these stories,
England, a number of
you
people
gotta
reported
know that
seeing
these goddamn
unexplained
aliens
lights
is here.
and a weird spacecraft land. It all started on December 26th when a security man saw strange lights descend into the forest. As he approached this object, it moved through the trees, and the animals at a farm nearby went crazy. The following days, more and more people saw these lights. In fact, a number of credible U.S. Air Force officials were witnesses to this account, including Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt. The lieutenant himself confirmed it to be a UFO. In our 3rd spot, we have the 6 soldiers. This next UFO encounter took place
Maybe it's like
in
a
North
glitch
Korea
in the Matrix.
1951 during the Korean War. As the men were preparing to bombard a nearby village, they were all of a sudden greeted by
Motherfuckers
a
found fairies.
strange craft. The craft emitted some form of ray that made their airburst start to explode. According to one of the men, and I quote, "Objects would get right into the center of an airburst of artillery and yet remain unharmed." They also said that they were, and I quote, "swept by some form of a ray that was emitted in pulses, in waves that you could visually see only when it was aiming directly at you. That is to say, like a searchlight sweeps around in the segments of light, you would see it coming at you." After this weird attack, the men were left sick and had to be taken to the hospital. Some say they were attacked by a UFO. Others say they were attacked by a high-tech Soviet death ray. To this day, we still don't know.
I'm about to say, just either is plausible. Shit, I don't know.
Incident. Named after Captain Thomas F. Mantell, a Kentucky Air National Guard pilot who sadly lost his life chasing a UFO. So on January 7th, 1948, Godman Army Airfield at Fort Knox received a report of a weird aerial object near Madisonville, Kentucky. They claim it was a floating circular object around 250 to 300 feet in diameter.
Dang,
So the
that's
US Air
crazy.
Force sent Thomas to investigate. Sadly, while doing so, he crashed his plane and lost his life. Now, Thomas was a very experienced pilot. He had spent around 2,167 hours in the air. So it's not like
he was an experienced pilot, yeah,
Other
for
people
sure.
that saw the UFO claimed it was very white with red borders at the bottom. Some even said, and I quote, just before leaving it came to very near the ground, staying down for about 10 seconds, then climbed at a very fast rate back to its original altitude, 10,000 feet, leveling off and disappearing into the overcast, heading 120 degrees. Its speed was greater than 100 miles per hour in level flight. And in our number one spot today, we have the Roswell UFO.
Roswell UFO. This is, I think everybody knows about the Roswell one.
So it takes place during the summer of 1947.
At least here in the States.
A rancher named W.W. MacBrazel said he found wreckage on his big plot of land. In fact, during that time, there was a number of UFO sightings, so the rancher thought that the wreckage was from a UFO crash. So he brought the material to the sheriff, who brought it to an officer from the U.S. Army Air Force. Later, the U.S. Army announced that what the rancher found was a flying disc. But the following day, the U.S. Army quickly reversed themselves.
They reversed it and said it was like a weather balloon or some shit.
Debris from a weather balloon.
Yep.
Years later, in 1994, they admitted that the weather balloon story had been completely bogus.
Bullshit!
Years, hundreds of UFO sightings have been reported in that area. Several eyewitnesses also claimed that they saw alien bodies being taken from a government test site. But the government was like, nah, those are just test dummies. Yeah, we'll go with that. I don't know. There's a number of conspiracy theories surrounding Roswell. It seems like the government might be hiding aliens there. Starting off this count.
Yeah. All right, I think this one was one of those ones where it's like 30 minutes long and has like multiple lists. But we're going to do the first top 10 right there. We're going to leave it right there, the first top 10. You let me know, because those was some actually really decent like videos right there and little claims and stories and situations. So let me know which one was your favorite out of that top 10. And yeah, if you got any crazy alien UFO stories, you know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments below. You dig what I'm saying? I love y'all. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.